Welcome back to the Behind the Bricks podcast. So to kind of continue with our theme of getting award winners onto the podcast, today we have Ronnie with us. So welcome to the podcast, Ronnie.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want to tell us about the award that you won?
I won New Property Investor of the Year 2025.
And how old are you, Ronnie?
I'm 21 years old.
How long have you been involved in property?
So I made a reel, and it was 2 years ago I left college. 1 year ago I picked up my first property deal, and this year I won New Property Investor of the Year.
Fantastic. So that's been very quick.
Yeah, it feels the last 2 years feel like 5.
Right. So how did you first get into it? At the age that you are, I think a lot of people use that as a bit of a barrier.
Yeah.
They think that they can't achieve much from property. So tell us how you got into it.
Yeah, and I think what I like to say to people as well is your age is your biggest advantage, because I think when you're younger, people are a lot more willing to give you time of day compared to like if you were in your mid-30s and you're trying to ask someone for loads of advice, they're going to say, well, yeah, buy my course. I'm going to charge you 5-10 grand. Whereas if you're a lot younger, I think they'll give you the benefit of the doubt. They'll be willing to take you sort of under their wing and whatnot.
That's a really interesting way to look at it, because you're absolutely right.
Yeah. That's how I see it. And
is that what you did then?
Essentially. So the way I got into property, I was at a media school. I was reselling trainers at the time. I'd been reselling trainers for about 2 years, saved up, I'd sold about 66 grand in trainers. So I'd saved up a good lump sum of cash, and the reselling market was kind of taking a downturn. I'd done a foundation degree in college because I didn't want to go uni, but I also didn't know what I wanted to do yet. So it was like kind of that gap where I was like, okay, I have an excuse that, I have this period to kind of figure things out while my parents are kind of nagging me to apply for uni and whatnot. So during that period, every week the school would send out emails for job opportunities. And then this one week, there was an email from a property development company, and it said, we're looking for a social media manager. And I said, cool, I can do that. So I applied, I called the person and I said, social media manager, I can do it. It's easy enough. And he goes, we're not looking for a social media manager, we're looking for a videographer. Sorry, it must have been like miscommunication. I said, I know I'm dude. I'm a videographer, I know I'm dude. He goes, have you got a portfolio? I said, no, but let me come down to a site, I'll film something for you, I'll send that off to you, and then, we can go from there. Bear in mind, I'd never touched a camera at this point, never picked up a camera in my life, didn't have like any skills on how to use a camera. So went to the school, blagged it to them, got them to let me borrow the school camera.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, you're meant to give it back in 3 days. So I had it for 3 months. Every 3 days I was telling them, yeah, I'm going to give it back. Filmed this property for them. A shoot that should take about 2 hours took me about 6 hours, because every room I was going into, I was searching up on YouTube, like the settings for the camera, how to do this, how to do that. The video came out complete rubbish. And then the person just completely ghosted me. I kept messaging. And eventually they were like, look, do you want to come shadow our videographer? They let me shadow their videographer. And then from there...
Which goes back to the time of day thing, right?
Yeah.
They're much more willing to give you the time of day because you're young.
Yeah, because I assume if someone a lot older was just pestering them, someone like similar to their age was just pestering them.
The police would be called, the Bureau of Restraining Order.
They probably just ignored it. But yeah, they were like, look, just come down, shadow our videographer, and we'll go from there. And then we booked in a meeting, and from there I kind of started working with them and building my skills. But because at the time when I first reached out to them, I didn't realize who they were, what they were doing. And then when I started speaking to them, I was like, wow, okay, like I really want to learn more about this. Because
from the property side, because they're talking about property, and you're taking in all that content because you're creating the videos.
Yeah.
So that's what really got you into property.
Yeah. So the first point where I kind of had like a realization was when we went to it was like their like course day essentially. It was purely because of the information, because I hadn't heard anything like that before, because I grew up in an area in West London. It's not the nicest area. If you search up on the news, you probably won't find the nicest things about that area on the news. But so there wasn't much like opportunity. I didn't see much opportunity. I didn't hear people talking about property, whatnot. So from there, I kind of just made it a mission I just need to provide as much value to these people as possible. So any element I could take on, I'll take on it. If it was the email marketing, if it was the putting together sponsorship decks for sponsors or building out funnels, whatever it was. I was just trying to provide as much value so I could just be around them for as long as possible.
Right. So you could learn as much as possible.
Yeah.
Incredible. So how when you obviously got inspired by them and the stuff that they were doing, but then being inspired by it and wanting to get into property, to then actually getting into it and doing your first deal, how did you bridge that gap?
Yeah. So I guess what made it a lot more achievable for me was actually going to site with them. So we go to site almost like 3-4 days a week, 3-4 days a week. And then the other days we'd either be in the office or be with like the lenders, the solicitors, the broker. So whenever we was constantly going to site, constantly going to viewings, it was making it a lot more achievable for me. And it was kind of showing me this is, how the process works. And whenever we'd go to site, I'd ask them, okay, so how, why was you able to pick this up for so much more of a discount? Why did no one else buy this property? What did you see that others didn't? How are you going to fix this problem? So I was just kind of like, I was just asking loads of questions and just making it more understandable for myself. And there became a point where there was things that weren't common knowledge, but it felt like common knowledge to me because we were just speaking about it every day. And I think with anything, if you're looking to achieve something, you have to change the circle you're around. So that thing that you're looking to achieve becomes, I guess, the norm. And what I say to people now is I was around property developers, so eventually I'm going to buy a property, so I saved my money and I just kept saving my money. And then I would always ask, I'll say, when can I get a deal? When can I get a deal? When can I get a deal? How much, what can I do with this amount of money? I had it was about 70 grand at the time. I was like, what can I do with this amount of money? They're like, it's not enough to make a deal work down south. It's not enough to make a deal work down south. You need about 120 grand cash. And then Adriana came into the picture. She started doing her developments up north and I got to know her. And then one of the developers was like, look, there's this deal up north. Do you want it? We were sat, okay, so I'll paint the picture for you. We're sat in Selfridges. We just finished filming an event. I am 19 years old and we're sat around like having drinks at the Brasserie Light at Selfridges. And he goes, Ronnie, the deal's just come up. Do you want it? I was like, how much is it? He goes, it's 296,000. He goes, the development's going to cost about 60 grand. And the refinance is looking at, I think at the time it was 470. But then when we actually go to refinance, revalue came at 490. But so at the time he goes, it's 470. He goes, do you want it? I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And in that moment, I was like, I didn't know what I was agreeing to. In that moment, I was like, okay, I've just agreed to it. And I was absolutely like just completely scared. I was like, I didn't know what this entailed. And then from there, obviously I got all the details of the property, the number breakdown, everything. And I had a good team around me to kind of walk me through the process, open up my limited company, and constantly asking questions to my broker, to the developers, to Adriana. So she sourced and project managed the deal. But during that whole process, I'm 19 years old, I'm taking out about 300 grand loan. I'm like, I know it's going to work out in the end, but during the whole process, like it's probably the scariest thing at that point I've done.
Yeah, you have no certainty at that point, right? It's all up in the air.
Yeah. And bear in mind, like, I've been around these people like 7 days a week, but in like the hindsight of things, like I've only been around them for like maybe a year at this point. I don't actually know them. So in my head, I'm like asking myself so many questions. I'm like, how am I going to make it? Like, is this real or not? But it all just comes down to like, when I got the breakdown of the numbers, looked at the numbers, it makes sense. And so for me, what I started to do is research into the area I was buying into as well, and made sure that I had full confidence in the future of that area that I was buying into, the future of the asset, and just making sure that the numbers were solid as well.
I think it's such a clever idea to position yourself as a videographer to get in front of, or to get, in front of people that are creating stuff or living a lifestyle or succeeding at something that you want to learn about, because you can literally, so long as you've got a camera in front of you, you can literally ask any question that you want to. Yeah. And it's in the context of, well, I'm asking this question because this is what the audience wants to know. Whereas really the main benefit is that it's what you want to know in order for you to get to where you want to be. We're going to be flooded in the property industry with people that are becoming videographers now. You realize that, don't you? Yeah. They're going to be flipping everywhere because of this and because of what you've done. But it's such a smart idea.
But at the same time, you need to be willing to put in the work, because there was times where, and I mentioned it when we was having lunch, there was times where come back at 5 a.m. I need to get video finished and sent to a client. I'll come back home. I need to get video finished and sent to a client, but also had to be up because we were traveling to Manchester and the cars would be waiting outside at 7 a.m. So I'd be up until 5 a.m. to finish that video, wake up at 7, have a quick shower, and then bounce to Manchester on 2 hours of sleep and then do another shoot. So you have to be willing to put in the grind. And that's what I think a lot of people aren't willing to do, because they get sold a myth on social media of, oh, it's easy, you can start making 10 grand a month off this, that. Okay, cool. But if you don't have any skills, what people overlook is fundamental skills, and it works in property and videography and whatever business you want to get into, is being able to talk to people, being able to sell yourself, and being able to put in the graft to make that thing work.
So we're going to look at, in this episode, what I'm going to focus on with you is, I'm going to focus on like the pillars that are necessary to get started in property.
Yeah.
And actually the first one that we're going to talk about is education.
Yeah.
So in terms of getting these fundamental points across, what should people focus on in education? Do you agree that education is a pillar? Yeah. And what should they focus on when they're becoming
100%. I think education is one of the most important things. I think education is one of the most important things in life, and we invest into education. Me and my business partner, Darwood, we invest into education a lot, even like now in our own, the media business. I think education is the most important pillar. You just have to make sure who you're getting educated from is credible, and don't fall into the flashy lifestyle and this, that, because once you have a few properties, it's easy to show lifestyle. You can get a car on finance, you can get a watch on finance. It's easy to like flash and kind of inflate your persona online. So I think the first pillar of education is make sure who you're getting educated from is a veteran in the game. They know what they're doing, and the easiest way to do that is to look them up on Companies House.
Yeah, and I guess they're providing value as well in the content that they're creating. They're not just lifestyle led. They're not just that car, because like you say, that can be kind of fabricated.
Yeah.
But what they're saying actually makes sense. They're giving you value as well as showing you what you can achieve from it, right?
Yeah.
Talk us through the Companies House thing a little bit.
Yeah. So,
how do you do that? Because some people might not have set up their own limited company. They might not be familiar with Companies House.
Yeah.
So how do you do your due diligence on a personal Companies House?
Companies House is a fantastic tool to really weed out the people that are just talking for the sake of talking online. And it's so when I see a lot of people online that they'll be selling a course on, let's say, property education, this, that. They'll come on, they'll do a 20-minute video. Yeah, we bought this site, You go on their Companies House, and so obviously you'll search their name.
Yeah.
And either search their name, if you don't have their full name, try and search their company name, go on their website, scroll to the bottom, see if they have their company number or whatnot. Go and search their company, try and find them as a director on Companies House. And then what you're looking for is essentially an active company with charges on it, because you won't really be able to see if they've got properties in the company through some of the filings and whatnot, but you'll be able to see if they've got charges on their company.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll know, because it'll say the property address and whatnot. So have a look if they've got active company, if they've got charges on the company, if they do have accounts and whatnot, they've been operating for years, just have a look at the accounts, see if they've got healthy accounts and whatnot. And then you'll kind of be able to understand a little bit of like the size of their portfolio and whether they're actually who they say they are in the industry. Because there's a few cases where I've seen like people on YouTube, and then I'll go look them up on Companies House, and they'll be quite young guys, and I'll go look them up on Companies House, and they have no active companies and no charges on their companies either. So it's like what are we doing here,
And yet they're claiming when they're on social media, they're claiming that they do.
So it's because it is very easy if you're looking to like, if you want to sell a course to a younger generation, it is very easy to fool a group of people into inflating your own personality,
right?
To the younger audience, to people that haven't had business experience, that that because with lifestyle and whatnot, you're not going to impress anyone that's already achieved XYZ in business, because they're already past that. This is not really an achievement to them.
But you will with the people that haven't.
Yeah.
Once you've got that education, so this is the next pillar. Once you've got that education, how much time should you put into finding your strategy, and how does one person differentiate their strategy from all the strategies that are available? So, you've got HMO, flips, commercial conversions, new builds, rent to rent we were talking about earlier as well. We've got property sourcing, we've got supported living, you've got lots of different things. How does anyone differentiate what they should be doing, what they should focus on?
Yeah, so I think the reason I say the most important part is finding your educator, because once you find your educator, they are going to push you in the route of what strategy to take up. But I think you also have to weigh it up in what do you want in life? What stage are you at in life as well? For me, I want cash flow, so I invested in high yielding HMOs.
Is that what that first deal is that you bought?
Yeah, so the first deal was an 8-bed student HMO in Sunderland. Purchased 296,000, refurb 60 grand, revalued at 490,000, gross rental income 58, net rental income 23. So it's high cash flowed asset, and then obviously we refinanced and then purchased the second property with my business partner Darwin.
So that's like a 35% return on capital from that first property, because you put 60 into it.
Yes.
60, 70?
60.
So you put 60 into it and you're getting out 23.
Yes. But when I we refinanced at 490,000, I pulled out majority of my capital.
Yeah.
So it was a decent deal.
Perfect.
It was a decent, but going back to the point of, I would try to understand, where are you at in life, and what works for you. For most people, I assume it is cash flow. And don't get caught up in, like, a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to invest in London, just for the sake of, like, well, a lot of people that grew up in London, they want to buy something in London, this, that, but don't, I guess, let your ego trick you into not getting onto the ladder a lot sooner, just because, you want to buy in a certain area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think work out where you are in life and figure out what strategy works best for you. Whether you want to, buy and hold for a long period of time, have high cash flow, buy and flip, and also kind of really look into the numbers, because a lot of the numbers you see on social media are very inflated, because what people won't tell you is the money they're getting taxed on, the cost of accountants, the cost of
management fees,
the various costs that go into it, like broker fees, your lawyers, especially if you're flipping, your lawyers, your stamp duty, just the various different costs that come up. So really understand each strategy and kind of figure out which one's the best for your particular lifestyle long term.
So is that why you invested into Sunderland? Because you wanted to get onto the ladder quicker and your focus was cash flow?
Yes.
So you moved out of London because obviously London's well known for having great capital appreciation, but not so great on the yield and not so great on the return.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe in Sunderland as an area as well. Because before I took the deal, I started doing a lot of research into Sunderland and the future prospect. It's interesting because Sunderland's undergoing one of the biggest regenerations in UK's history. Mm-hmm. So it's got £4 billion being pumped into Sunderland. Mm-hmm. I think 400 million is going into a
Freeport. It's going to become a Freeport up there.
Yeah, and they've got so it's, I forgot what it's called, but there's film studios being built, which essentially are apparently going to be one of the biggest film studios in Europe.
Yeah.
And that's going to bring a whole bunch of jobs. That's going to bring a whole bunch of attention to Sunderland. And then you've also got one of the biggest AI data centers in Europe being built in Newcastle. They've got £30 billion that they're pumping into that AI data center, which is going to bring a whole bunch of jobs and a whole bunch of people to that area. So it's a growing economy. And if you look at what happened to Manchester, I think Sunderland Newcastle is definitely next.
And you focused on student, you said, didn't you?
Yeah, student.
So what is the university growing in that area as well? Did you look into that too?
Yeah. So the university is quite interesting because the university, for media in particular, I think it was like top 5, or it was either in the top 5 or the top 3 for media in particular, which was quite interesting for Sunderland University, because I genuinely I didn't know nothing previous to it. I just started doing my research beforehand. And they've got they've got a campus in I think it's Hong Kong. I might be wrong.
Oh, really?
But they've got a campus abroad. So they've got a lot of international students that come to that university as well, which is quite cool. But yeah, where the actual property is situated, it's a 10-minute walk from the uni, and it was in an Article 4 area. It was previously an 8-bed HMO. We purchased it. We just had to essentially just do a light refurb on the inside, get a certificate of lawful use, and then obviously go to refinance. So like, in and out of the property was actually quite quick. Purchased July 19th for my birthday, and then ended up refinancing in October. So it was a very quick process. But the actual purchasing time took about 6 months. It was quite.
That's standard though at the minute. That's standard. Yeah. It's funny you should say about Sunderland. I was born in Sunderland. My gran lives in the next town down from Sunderland, a place called Seaham. She just had her 94th birthday the other day, and she's been talking about these film studios coming to the northeast for literally decades.
Is it? Yeah.
And the amount of regeneration, the amount of commercial stuff that's being built around there to bring jobs to the area over the last 10 years is frightening.
Yeah.
And if I'd have just listened to my gran 10 years ago and jumped on that bandwagon and bought stuff so that you couldn't come into Sunderland and buy it, you bloody Southerners, I'd have made a decent amount of money out of it. So I'm going to follow my gran for tips, I think, in the future.
But do you know, if you go to Sunderland as well and you look at just the architecture, it's the properties are beautiful. Like, they're genuinely beautiful properties, and you don't get anything like that now. And I think once the majority of those Victorian properties are gone, they're not coming back onto the market for a very
There's a lot of period properties up there. Right? There's a lot of terraced houses as well, and like bog standard terraced houses.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of very pretty properties. Based on what you just said as well, and looking at the Freeport area, the amount of regeneration that's going on into the area that you're looking to invest in, how much time and attention do you put into running the numbers? And not just the numbers of the area, but for the property itself.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So for me, and it's actually a point I wanted to touch on, I'll gather all the detail I need. Like, we'll have an Excel spreadsheet that breaks down everything. So purchase price, legal fees, stamp duty, the period of time that you're going to have to pay council tax during the development, just any fees that we would incur. So that would essentially be the gross development cost. And then we'll have the GDV, how much we're going to refinance for, how much we predict that we're going to pull out. We'll have a worst, best. We'll have a worst, medium, and best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we'll break down the rental figures, so gross rent, and then break down all the costs involved. So management, utilities, a kind of buffer for repairs and things that may go wrong. And general maintenance, and then that'll give us a net figure. So once I have all of that, and I don't like to spend too much time on what so for example, with this deal in particular, once I had all those numbers, and I asked Adrian to send me just general pictures. I'm down south in West London. General pictures of the properties and whatnot. I've seen every single angle of the property. I was like, yeah, I'm good to go. Let's purchase it. Sent the sourcing fee. Done. What most people do is they'll, okay, let me come and view the property. So for example, when I came home and I told my parents, yeah, I'm buying a property, and they were like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, I'm buying a property. My dad was like, have you gone and viewed it? I was like, no. He was like, have you lost your mind? I was like, no, but I was like, I have someone up there that I trust. I was like, I've got the numbers. I was like, I've seen what the property looks on the inside. I'm just going to waste my time going up there for, 3-hour journey there, 3-hour journey back, just to confirm what I already know.
Yeah.
It's going to be a waste of time. But what I found is a lot of people, they will justify procrastination and cover it with like due diligence, you know? Once you have all the information, just take action.
Yeah.
And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong, but I'd rather make the mistake a lot faster so I can learn from it than, you know, prolong it and maybe not even get the deal. Someone else takes the deal and then I regret it for, you know, the rest of my life.
I heard somebody say, and this explains what a lot of people do, I think. They're looking for a definite yes or no.
Yeah.
They're looking for certainty, and you're never going to get that. What you're going to get is, you need to understand that you're going to get, there'll always be a level of risk, and you just need to decide whether you're taking as much precaution as you can to reduce that risk as much as possible, to embrace that risk and move forward.
Yeah.
And if that means not going to view the property, well, that means not going to view the property.
Yeah. It was interesting because I was used to having, because I'd been saving for so long, from I started reselling at 16, so I'd been saving from about 16 to essentially 19 when I started the process of purchasing the property, and then on the day of completion turned 20. But I was so used to having that lump sum in my account. So when I purchased the property, my account went to essentially like practically zero, because I'd just enough in my account to like afford the property. And I was like living off my Amex, and any invoice that would come in, I'd use it to pay off my Amex. So it was such an interesting time.
Did you have that like sick feeling in your stomach when you watched your account go from 70 to 0?
Yeah, definitely. It was it was very interesting. But at the same time, I'm quite like, I'll only worry about the things that I can control, you know. So if like, I don't like to stress over things that aren't really controllable. So for me, it was like, this isn't the greatest feeling, but it is what it is, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to just pick up some more gigs and whatnot, just make sure that my Amex bills getting paid off.
Fair enough. So you mentioned that the property was $296 to buy.
Yeah.
You put your money into it. So how did you fund the rest of it? Because I guess that's going to be one of the questions that a lot of young people want to ask. How do you borrow money against a property when you're so young?
Yeah. So I had, obviously, shout out to Carl, the great broker. The network is the biggest thing as well, because they are the people that will guide you through the process. So because of the developers that I was around, I'd built quite a close relationship with the lawyers, the brokers, the developers. So at each phase where I was kind of getting stuck, I was asking a bunch of questions. So to my lawyers, I was asking them a bunch of questions like, what does this mean? You know, how does this process work? Whatnot, to kind of make myself feel more comfortable. With the purchase in particular, I had to get my dad onto the company to get accepted for the mortgage in the first place, because they ran the affordability, or no, was it affordability? They looked at his income for the affordability, instead of mine. And then where am I going with this? And then so my broker advised me I have to get my dad in the company to be able to get accepted for the mortgage.
Yeah.
And then we used a bridging loan from Shawbrook, and then also refinance with Shawbrook as well.
Right. So you're on a Shawbrook mortgage. Yeah. That's probably why it was. It took a decent amount of time to go through, right? Because you're just using Shawbrook for everything. Yeah.
Well, it was a lot quicker than when we refinanced on the second property in Reading, where we didn't use Shawbrook. To be fair, Shawbrook was a lot faster. It was a lot more seamless. But the reason the purchase took so long was because of the seller. So they were just taking ages to send over the documents and whatnot, and send over some of the stuff that the lawyers needed. So it just longed out the whole process for many months. And they came to they'd given me a date for completion. It was meant to be before my birthday, and then they'd given me a new date for completion, which was on my birthday. And it was getting to about like 4 p.m. and I called my lawyer. I was like, do you think we're going to be able to complete today? He was like, that's like the end of the day, so probably move it to tomorrow. I was like, well, that's my birthday. I was like, if we can make it happen, let's try and make it happen today. And then at like 6 p.m, before everyone was going home from work, I get an email saying, congratulations, you've completed. So it was quite a cool feeling.
That's great. You're never going to forget that now, right? That's such a great way to mark your birthday, to come into your 20s. I think it sounds like you're a really big advocate of taking action.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say avoiding mistakes. It sounds like the mindset that you have and the reason that you're in the position that you are is because you've taken action and sort of embraced the mistakes instead. And if you do make a mistake, it seems like you see it as an opportunity to learn and grow in order to move forward.
I saw a quote online. I saw on TikTok, but it was like embarrassment is an underexplored emotion, and I think like failing is an underexplored emotion as well. Like you need to fail as fast as possible to be able to succeed. You know, you can't have success without failing. You can't make something work without knowing, you know, the other side of it. So I think if the quickest way to success is just fail as many times as possible and then kind of iterate from there.
Have you looked at that first deal and thought, what if it all went wrong? What if you lost that money? What if that deal was a scam?
Yeah. So
how do you think you'd have dealt with that? And not even a scam, right? Just it didn't go right, and you didn't get the revaluation amount. And so,
do you know what my mindset is? If something goes horribly wrong and puts me into absolute like financial crisis, then it's a blessing from God, and I just have to work harder to get out of the financial crisis. You know, like is what are the controllables? What can I do in that situation? It's just work harder and try and fix it. You know, like I don't like worrying about the I don't like worrying about like what ifs, because you can what if about everything, you know,
forever and ever and ever,
and then just never end up doing anything. And what I was going to say as well is what I say to a lot of young people is when they say, well, I don't know what I want to do. Well, just go and try a bunch of things and fail at a bunch of things and you'll figure it out.
So what is your biggest mistake or biggest issue that you've had to overcome?
In property and business or just in general?
Yeah, property or business.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Okay. Property is take your taxes seriously. So
no further explanation needed. But go on anyway.
Left that stuff like so last minute, and just put myself under a lot of stress for no reason. Because I think that's one of the first things you should worry about, especially when you're buying a property. Get your accountant in place, whatnot. Get advice. We done it the second time around. We got a group structure set up the second time around, obviously with Darwin, our business partner, to purchase the second property. But yeah, the first one, I just wish I had first gone and spoke to an accountant, got all the kind of the structure in place to track everything and whatnot, rather than having to put it together last minute. And actually today, while I was recording the previous podcast, I just got an email from the accountant basically saying they sorted everything out. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's great that you've got to this point, and that's your biggest issue, though, that you've not experienced the issue with the developments themselves or with the purchase of the property, or you've missed out on a deal that's been, you know, absolutely phenomenal that you really wanted to land.
Yeah, I guess, do you know, because it comes down to as well, like learning from other people's mistakes. And that was essentially the experience with working with these developers. It was like, just when I was asking them a lot of questions, they made a lot of the mistakes, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
And they were kind of telling me stories about, you know, in the early days about using the wrong builder and you know, how it went wrong and whatnot, and how to kind of vet builders and there's a lot. This is why I say, like, if you want to achieve something in life, just find a way into that circle and find a way to become friends with people that, you know, are already doing that, because you'll learn so many different things that you wouldn't even thought of to ask a question about.
Yeah.
You know?
And all of these things are all well-known things, aren't they? Like, what's the saying? You are the net result of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
So if you're spending your time in that circle, you're going to diffuse all that information is going to sort of osmotically come into your psyche, right?
Yeah, but no one implements it. That's the thing. Everyone looks for, like, what's the magic trick? What's the you know, secret step into XYZ? It's just like, if 5 of your friends have all bought a property, eventually you're going to buy one, or else, you know, you're going to feel like the odd one out in the group. You know,
and they're not going to want to hang around with you because you're the one that doesn't have the property. You can't make it to the property club.
But you're going to, like, if everyone in the group is doing something, and like you see this when you're in high school or a younger age, when everyone in the group is doing something, you feel like you have to do that thing as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if that thing is good or bad. Take the same amount of effort. It's just you want to fit in with that crowd, so then you'll mentally put the the mental energy towards trying to fit in with them.
So the first deal that you did,
yeah,
that was quite a like flying by the seat of your pants, especially when you first said yes to it. But then you broke down the numbers more. So did you change that process at all for the second deal that you bought?
So the second deal was slightly different. We left a bit more money in, but we chose an area closer to London, so Reading, and it's got a lot of tenant demand. It's got a lot of prospect because obviously the Elizabeth line. A lot of professionals are now moving out of London, moving into places like Reading where they can get quick access into London, and slowly those prices are inflating. And Reading is one of those places just outside of London where you can still find properties under 300 grand.
Right.
So we kind of wanted to explore having something down south as well.
And so the first one that you bought was a HMO up north.
Yeah.
Were you looking for a HMO in Reading as well?
Yeah. We're still looking for that cash flow. We're still following the same theme of just of cash flow.
Yeah.
And so we found a property in Reading. We paid a saucer for it. It was 285 originally, purchase price. Build cost 160, and refinance at 550,
right?
Or GDV 550, and then the rental figures were slightly similar. I think gross rent is about 55 or 58, and then net rent is 22,
right?
21, something like that. But with that property in particular, we got put in a very sticky situation because overnight, Rachel Reeves decided to increase to double the stamp duty. So I remember watching the budget, and obviously we're going through this purchase, and she's got, we're increasing stamp duty. I was like, okay, whatever. It's like going to be maybe a few months' time. We would have completed by then. She goes, by tomorrow. I was like, great, that's a nice one. So then our stamp duty bill went from 8 grand to 16.
Right, you weren't close enough to complete immediately.
No, we weren't. So then we went back and renegotiated with the sellers to knock off 5 grand. And then we got the property down to 280, which was
okay,
which was quite good. And yeah, same concept. So, well, not same concept. This was actually a complete redevelopment on the inside. So, 3-bed terraced house, destroyed the entire inside and converted it to a 6-bed all-en-suite HMO.
And did you take that up on the second property because you sort of had the confidence of running a big HMO like you've done in Sunderland, or you were comfortable with a big HMO? Now you can do the refurbishment as well, so like you're adding one skill to the next property. Not trying to do too much with two, like straight away. You've just got the one thing that you're adding.
And it also wasn't a big stepping stone either, because again, like the network that I was around, the builders that we were using are also the same builders that the developers that I was working with used. So it wasn't, this time there wasn't, I wasn't scared. There wasn't that much fear involved. It was kind of it was a little more seamless, I guess. This time it was more of an actual I'm investing in something process.
And where's that property now? How is it performing? Is it rented out?
Yeah, so it's fully let. We actually had tenants asking us if we have any more rooms available, which was
really?
Quite good. So fully let, and it's the demand in the area is growing quite heavily. A lot of our friends have quite a few properties in that area as well. So I think there's we have 6 rooms. I think in total, with the developers I used to work with, there's about 100 rooms in that area that are managed under the same company.
Oh wow!
So it's doing quite well. Each room is we're renting for around 750.
Right.
So, yes.
And what's your plan going forward?
So the plan going forward for us is the media business is our main cash flow. Is to continue growing the media business, and then that money gets essentially pumped into property. Because what it allows us to do is the property income allows us to not need to take as much money out of the media business, just be able to reinvest into the business, constantly grow the business, hire more staff, run ads, more equipment, whatnot, and while the kind of the property, I guess, gives us stability. So yeah, I think property is a great asset, and especially over the long term, people get misconstrued and they think they're going to become millionaires overnight. They think they're going to make loads of money overnight, but it's a long term game, and I've seen it with the people I work with, or the people I used to work with. They started investing in 2001, and now they've got I think it's like 800 tenants across West London. So it's a compounding game, and you have to be willing to sacrifice certain things to get into it. But when you're in your 30s, 40s, you're not gonna regret it.
All right, I've got some quick fire questions for you now. So first of all, tell me a property influencer that you would recommend.
Adriana Cafasso. Do you want me to go more into detail?
Yeah, go on. All right, we might leave it out, but you can, yeah.
Over the last, I guess, Adriana is one of the only people that I've seen that she's doing a lot more behind the scenes than she's actually talking about on social media, purely because she's so busy. But yeah, over the last 2-3 years, the team she's got in Newcastle, the amount of development she's doing, I think in the last year alone she's done £20 million in developments for her clients, and then added like £3 million to her portfolio. And she's only 25, so she's killing it up north.
Mm-hmm. And what's her social media like?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we run our LinkedIn, so LinkedIn.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
okay,
it's great. So it's not biased at all. But yeah, social media is great. There's a lot of value on there. A lot of stuff that people can kind of look through and grab some nuggets out of and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I guess if you're new into the game, you kind of learn a bit about the kind of technical intricacies.
Just say her name again, because it's
Adriana Cafasso.
Thank you. So tell me about a strategy that you don't do, but you like the look of.
A strategy that I don't do, but I like the look of. I think flips sound quite glamorous, purely because of like the kind of the lump sum of cash that you can pull out, and like continue to just grow a pot of money and put money into this property, make 50, 60, 100 grand, put money into another property, make another 50, 60, 100 grand profit, and then carry on growing that pot and just have like a huge kind of cash pot. I like the sound of that. Would I do it? No. Because for me, property is more a long-term game of just building a moat around my main business and building a moat around my life in general.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if I'm going to buy any assets, I just want to buy and hold.
Mm-hmm.
And our main source of income comes from our media business, and if we're looking to make more money, it's just a case of just run more ads, make a new offer, yeah. Because
it's still effort, right? To get access to that 100 grand profit part, it's still effort. So I guess you're being distracted because you're not buying something that is going to continuously give you cash flow.
Yeah.
So essentially that's a wasted effort, because you've got the same 24 hours in the day as everybody else.
And it's a long process as well. Like people say, I made 50, 60, 100 grand off this one deal. How much time and effort did you put into that deal,
Well, how long did it take you to buy your first property? You said
6 months.
6 months, right? So
6 months.
To buy it, to do the refurbishment and to sell it, you're talking about over a year that you dedicated to that property. You got your money tied up in it. Yeah,
literally. So, yeah, essentially.
So you like the look of flips, but you're definitely not going to do them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It for me, it would distract me from my main business, so it just doesn't make sense.
What about other cash flowing strategies? Are you eye drawn to that, like service accommodation, for example?
Yeah, I think service accommodation is quite cool. Like I know a lot of people that do majority of these strategies, so I know the amount of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
So they're all the same. They all take the same amount of effort. It's just what makes sense for your lifestyle and what you want to do and what kind of business you want to run.
So you're happy with HMOs?
Yeah, I'm happy with HMOs. Commercial to residential looks quite nice. I would do commercial to residential, but I look at it as similar to HMOs in a sense where it's just an internal conversion.
Mm-hmm. On a bigger scale. Usually.
Yeah, on a bigger scale, and you're taking 1 or 2 units or multiple units and just turning it into a lot more, essentially. But yeah, commercial to resi is one that I quite like, and I want to invest in as well.
Okay. Tell me one myth about property that needs to die today.
That you can get into property with no money.
Give us a top tip on that.
You can maybe get yourself into a rent to rent with no money, or I don't know, these various other strategies. But you're not in property. That you're buying yourself a job. That is a job essentially. You're running a management company. You're not a property investor. You know, and you can raise capital, this, that, but you still need money. You still need someone's money. You know, you're not getting into no money. You still need access to some kind of capital.
Yeah. So you are, if you don't know what kind of job you want to do,
yeah,
you can get into property in that I understand what you're saying about, you know, you're not making that equity uplift because you don't own property.
Yeah.
If you're getting into rent to rent.
Yeah.
But you can sort of become a presence in the industry and start to get to know people.
Yeah.
And learn important skills from doing like rent to rent, for example, which then helps you build your pot. But then you start investing into your own property and growing your own portfolio. Yeah. And that kind of makes sense, but it's going to take longer.
Yeah. Because
you need to essentially do the same thing. You need to get a job first.
Yeah.
Which is the rent to rent, to then build your pot, to then start investing.
Yeah, I think it's very misconstrued online. I think that people think you can just get into property with them. You need some kind of cash from somewhere. If you're getting an angel investor, if you're the one sourcing the deal and you're the one putting the sweat equity in and someone else putting the money, you still need
them
to get
their money
from somewhere. Yeah.
Give the audience one piece of advice for somebody that's starting without any experience. So I guess this is like you in your position prior to the videography flag.
Go find someone that's done it already and find a way to provide value to them.
That's great advice.
It's literally that simple. Find someone who's done it already and find a way to provide value to them.
So when you first saw that advert in your college, for somebody that was looking for social media help, did you inquire with them because they were in property, or did you inquire with them because they wanted social media help?
I inquired with them because they were in property.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because every week they would essentially send out a newsletter with like work experience and different like opportunities and whatnot. And majority of it, because I went to it was a media school.
Yeah.
So it was Global Academy. It's a media school in Hayes Town. And a lot of the opportunities would be like within the media space, maybe like a runner on some kind of set, or working backstage at some kind of event or whatnot. None of that stuff didn't really interest me. So when I saw this in particular, I was like, and I saw it was a property company. I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. I was like, maybe I can learn from these people. So I reached out.
This sounds like I'm talking to the producer now, just off camera. This sounds like we've set it up so that we get inundated with people that are saying, how do you guys, property, you do property education as part of your franchise. What do you guys need value? I mean, my car's dirty at the moment. If anybody wants to come and clean it, I'll definitely take that up. It's
next week, you have a bunch of like college kids just cleaning your car.
Yeah, not even ask them to do it. They're just that must be his car. Clean it.
Yes,
but it's such a good. I don't want to call it a blag because it's not a blag. It's finding what they need, providing what they need, which also benefits you, and the value that you're getting isn't like financial. It's brilliant.
And also the skills that you pick up, the environment becomes normal to you. So a lot of the connections I've been able to pick up was because the environment became normal to me. Was going to dinners with the MDs of the bank, was going to like dinners with the partners of these like law firms, because I was filming everything. So these people just became normal to me. Previously, maybe I wouldn't have spoken to these people. I wouldn't like crack jokes with them, whatnot. Like nervous, like, oh, he's like some big shot. Like I can't talk to this person. I'm not on the same level as them. Now I just see them all as the same, because I've been around them so much. It's like, oh yeah, it's this person. Like crack jokes with each other, whatnot. That's how connections are formed.
Big shots like knob gags just as much as anybody else, right? That's what you got to learn from that, surely.
Yeah.
So you've been investing in property now for what, 2 years?
Yeah.
So are you happy with your current investment strategy, or do you kind of regret not investing in something else instead of property when you first started?
Completely regret it. Like, cry myself to sleep every night. I'm joking. It was probably the best thing I've done, purely because it allows me to it allows me to operate my business now with a lot more ease, because I don't have to pay myself out of the business, lump sums of money, because I have the assets that essentially just cover, the costs of living my life.
Yeah. If people want to follow you on social media, where should they go?
Ronnie Koldashi on Instagram, so RONNIE KOLDASHI. And then obviously our company page is 7media.agency, and business partner Dawood Gujar.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been great to see. You've achieved a lot in the last 2 years, so we're definitely going to be watching. It's going to be good to see what you do from here. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a great podcast. Subscribe to the channel.